Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coming Into Being. We're here for another round for July, and so here we are. And I'm going to go over to Instagram as always to get that going on that side. I do it on both Instagram and YouTube, and we're almost there. There we go. All right, we're all set to go. And Rebecca, right at the start. Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. Um, So you're welcome to stop by the chat and say hello if you're not a usual person here. Good evening, Marianne. Coming in hot. Yeah, it's hot here too. Literally 90 degrees. Yeah, that's about. It was a little less than that today, but we had some really hot weather. That was going up into the hundreds here, which is not the normal. And Elise, good evening, Marianne. So glad to be here. Yeah, I'm glad to see you, and Tanya. So very nice. Good to see everybody. And on Instagram, if you pop in, you're welcome to just say hello to. I have the screen up for separately for Instagram because it doesn't. I use Restream and Instagram just won't cooperate. It's an Instagram thing. They're very delicate about what they do. Concern about ancestors in my space. Well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because that's going to be a little bit of a ongoing, continual thing. Because if for no other reason than your physical DNA comes down the line from your ancestors, right? So there's going to be something in there. And the question is being able to navigate through that without getting totally thrown off. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting you bring this up because I was out with a friend earlier, and then when I came back, I wasn't so much in the ancestors, but I live in an apartment. It's a family apartment. It's been, and there's like probably four generations of people in stuff. Not necessarily a lot, but from the generation back. So, and then also what comes with that is everybody else down the line and how they've held on maybe to those people through those objects, which can be very distorting actually for the people that are being held on to as well as the people who are holding on. It can do a lot of things like keep them in the space, the physical space energetically, instead of being able to just clear out and move on, kind of thing. And it's not like once people clear out, they're never in our space, because people will pop up, but it's that quality of how they pop in and pop out. And it should be, when they're around you, it should be uplifting in some ways, or more on that positive side. Though sometimes it's just a little weird. I had my grandfather come into me as I was painting because he wanted to re-experience that. He did art stuff. He was an artist, an architect. So it was, and for me, it's like, no, that just doesn't work for me because I've had a little too much of that going on. So yeah, ancestors in your space. I don't like stuff from my dead ancestors. So what's stuff? What is stuff? Let's define stuff, because that can be a lot of different stuff, right? That can be a lot of different things, So the question is learning to really. So here's a positive way to look at that. If you sense ancestors or whatever around you, or if you feel like there's something there, then use that to learn to define yourself more precisely. It was like, well, that's not me. I know this is something I've gotten from down the lines. This is not me, and your physical body will help you to anchor in more precisely than if you're feeling your energetics. And when you feel into your physical body, you will have that, you will pick up that information of your energetics, but focus in on the physical because it's the best defined thing that you have to refer to. Physical things, like belongings, like artwork, like books, stuff like that, I assume is what you're saying. So anyway, so let's take a nice deep breath in. With that, let's all kind of come in and connect into ourselves to start this out. It's good points coming up. So just feel into take a deep breath in, hold it, and then just collectible possessions. Yeah. So anchoring physical body in the now. Yeah, okay, I'll get back to those comments later. So letting go, coming into your breath, just notice where your awareness is predominantly. Most likely it's more up here, and that's fine. There's no wrong right here. Just notice where you are most predominantly right now, your awareness. And if you close your eyes, you might get a sense, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm up here. All right, so slowly let yourself come down. And see what it's like. Just kind of give Elzava, hello. Come into your throat. Take a deep breath in, Elzava, and just dive right in. See where your awareness is to start with. And take a moment to do that. And then come into that throat. And just notice how that feels different than if you're more up in your head. And that's okay to be more up in the head. Just letting yourself float, drop down into that throat area. And feel that for a bit. Notice that for a bit. Become aware of just whatever comes up, to be aware of how that feels, what you're noticing about being kind of just more in your throat. Maybe it feels like there's something above you and then something below, which makes sense because the head's above the neck, and then there's the rest of the body below the neck. Whereas, let's go back up into the head. Bring yourself back up into the head. Just notice how that feels. Like it might feel more contained. Might feel like, okay, there's kind of a ceiling there. There's walls there. Notice that. Come back down into your throat. Okay, little things like this might not seem like a lot, but this is about building your sense of self, your awareness of yourself. So when you do little exercises like that, you can do it throughout the day. That just helps you to orient, to get a sense of feeling, being in your body, being you, and helps you to just get stronger with that, get clearer with that. So in the throat, just notice the throat. See if that makes sense. That it, like I said before, to me, it feels like there's kind of stuff up above without describing what, but just you can feel like there's space up above there, and then space down below. So feel that. And as you are aware of that, just notice the breathing to help kind of anchor that little mental piece. Yeah, kind of give it something to do, to keep track of while your observer awareness is more focused, like on what it feels like to be in the throat. Okay, and then just let yourself just gently float down until you get to the heart space. Around the heart space, you might not be going into the heart space because that's a kind of a deeper ball game. But and Esther, hello Esther. So coming into, yeah, just letting yourself come into the heart space. Notice what happens with your breath when you drop down into the heart space. As you practice this, this is a nice little piece to practice on your own. As you practice this, you might really kind of really feel how your breath just kind of slows and expands, and you're just more rested. Let's rest here for a little bit. Just give yourself time, and if you pop back up, you get a thought that comes up, or you hear a noise or whatever, just come back into that, being more in that heart space, dropping down and float down if you need to. No need to rush and try to push to get down there. In fact, that's going to have the opposite effect. Just coming into that heart space. So if it's easier, if it helps, just kind of get into your awareness in your head, then your throat, and then your heart. Every time I move to a higher frequency, I notice that I have to learn how to be in my body again. So what's happening is that your energy is moving, but you're not in alignment with yourself. So your energy and your physical form are not in alignment. So the trick is to keep those together and move into a higher frequency. So yeah, I would say that pretty much is what happens, but that's not the way you want to go. You want to stay anchored in the physical. That's what really gets you to hold at those higher frequencies. That happens to everybody. So when you notice yourself in a higher frequency, just see see about holding on to that and becoming aware of your body, and a little trick to bring that in and still be at those high frequencies, but being in the physical, wiggling your toes. So that will help to kind of pull things down there. Because when you wiggle your toes, all of a sudden your mind is going, wiggle toes, wiggle toes, So it's like, but yeah. And part of that is that there's a vibrational level to the body, and so you could be tapping into, when you tap into non-physical frequencies, then it's that evolutionary trick to learn to align both. And that's part of the journey of mastery. So I will come back to your question, Sydney, in a little bit. But so focusing on the heart. And feeling how that, it's a little noisy. It's tourist season, high tourist season has started. So I don't know if you're hearing it, but I get the scooters going by. Anyways, so that's why I'm pausing. So again, head, come into your head. Feel your awareness in your head. And feel it down, move down. Feel yourself just float down to your throat. And then float into the heart space, float down into the heart space area. Let's just leave it heart space area. Okay, just notice what comes up. There's now what's happening now is there's a little bit of sadness that's showing up, Karen, with you especially, or you're at the forefront of that one. So, and others, that's interesting, Tanya. I see kind of more frustration coming up for you. So more than sadness, it's frustration, and almost more of a mental angry. So that's not the heart space, and that's okay. Just be fine with that, just understanding that. But it's what's around the heart space. So that's why I said we're not going in the heart space, we're just in that vicinity. So just float with that. Yeah, others of you have also kind of interesting stuff. It's almost like some of this is a combination of sadness and frustration, but this kind of angst. Oh, there's a good word. That's the angst that I'm feeling with some people too. And another thing that's popping up is just wanting to be so good. Wanting so much to be good. Let's put it that way. Trying so hard to be that. And feeling like you weren't. So that's a misunderstanding, angst. Yeah. That's a misunderstanding because it comes just from the feedback that we receive from the environment. We're trying really hard to be just good. You are good in the essence of yourself, but for some reason something comes up in the environment saying that makes us think, feel, analyze that. Okay, I'm not good enough. Yeah. So that's bringing up something in probably everybody here. So I'm having a hard time just listening to me rattled, needing to make boundaries and speaking up. You don't necessarily need to speak up outwardly. You need to speak up at least internally and acknowledge where you are for yourself. And then thinking I'm a bad person. So understand. Yeah, understand. This is for everybody. This is a big one to understand. Is like we think we have to speak up and say something, but the first speaking up is to ourselves and acknowledging. Okay, yeah, I'm feeling this. And you can have this two-person conversations. Like, yeah, Sydney, I really noticed that you're feeling this. Yeah. So speaking up to yourself. Speaking up to the external will depend. It doesn't necessarily have to go to that step. It depends. Depends on what the circumstances are. And sometimes the best way to speak up is to not say anything, especially when you've been in that place of always kind of responding, because a lot of responses are to defend yourself. And so when you really know your position, it's like, you don't even go there because you know that, first of all, going there is more about trying to make the other person understand your position, and that it's just gonna keep going down on this path that's pointless to go down. Yeah. And there's still that earlier question. I'll get back to it at the end. So, okay, that's cleared up a few things for people already. Take a nice deep breath in, hold it, and then just release with a big, as big as you want. Yeah. I feel blank. Okay, feel into that blank. Feel that blank. Don't just kind of like, oh, well, I feel blank. I got to feel something. So because that happens to all of us. So just feel that blank and just explore that blank. Be with that blank. I did that with someone I saw on the call. I hadn't seen her for 3 years. Quite a trigger, classic textbook defensive response from her when I said I felt heartfelt, but maybe I didn't have to. What I said felt heartfelt. Yeah, so timing is another thing. Yeah. Uh, Often I find I'm not minding my own business and expecting others to bend to my issues. Good insight. Good insight for you. So yeah, so that's the speaking. So that's a piece around manipulation. That ties into manipulating the situation, the person, so that they follow your rule. Controlling. Um, so take a deep breath into that, Elise, and anybody else. So, take a big deep breath into what's coming up for you. Sydney, what you said, I mean, it brings up a lot of different angles on this piece. And so that's why when you speak up, you really have to come from this place of the right place within yourself and having a clear sense of this is, I need to say this because it's about affirming this piece and being in that place where you're pretty neutral about it and then walking away. I mean, it's such a complex piece. There's so many different, it can go in all directions, not saying something, knowing where you are, standing strong within yourself, being in a neutral place, you know, understanding, having a sense of the timing, and the timing might be in this moment. I've got to say something now because I'm done with this, or I got to say something now, or I got to not say anything because it just perpetuates down the same line. So it's very, very complex. And when you respond to something, to a person, or when you come back, like you said, I hadn't seen her for 3 years. That's happened to me. I come back and I'm able to be in a more open space, and it's like, well, this happened between us, oh well. It's like, and people can't always do that, so they get defensive also because they could be getting defensive because it's like they thought they were higher up than they actually are. And when you do something like that, it kind of shows them that they aren't as high as they think they are. So the defensiveness, that could be one thing. One take on that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I told her it was more for me to say than for her. I mulled over it. She did not want to look at herself. And I just have to let that go. I had to wait 2 weeks to be able to be in contact with her. Yeah, so let it go. And so the question is, why do you want to be in contact with her? If you look at everything you've said here, and sometimes it's just enough contact to just kind of really put it to an end. But also ask yourself, going forward, is this the kind of interactions I want to have with people? Not really. And if that's a not really, then walk away. And walking away can be really challenging because we feel like we got to say something, we got to bring it to an end, we got to end it nicely, we got to, whatever it is, be clear, just wrap it up in a nice package, whatever. And sometimes you just have to walk away without doing anything, and that can be really hard to do. So, all right, coming again. Take a nice deep breath in and release. So just allowing ourselves again to rest into that heart space. This is in essence your purest space, the heart. Hardest to go to. but it's also your purest place. And the reason it's hard is because there's so much on top of that that we need to work through to connect. And if you have the recording you might want to revisit that session we did on the heart mind, coming into the heart. Yeah, so there's a lot of, so we're gonna sit here because there's a lot of stuff coming into people. So the stuff that's around the heart space is what makes it difficult to come into the heart space and stay there. So that's okay. Just coming back in. If you pull out, coming back in gently. I was hoping for a reconnection. Felt like we dreamed each other. Everybody dreams everybody. So nothing special about that, but it just felt special, yeah. Then I realized how much I still put those rose-tinted glasses on. And that's nothing wrong with that, but it's simply that maybe the other person can't go there with you. That's okay. And so the question becomes, what do you learn in that? What did you learn about yourself and about, maybe you were depending on having somebody else be in that same place and wear those rose-tinted glasses with you where you don't really need to. So maybe that's part of the, what did you get out of that? What did that bring forth in you that helped you step into a higher place? And see if you could just hold that as best as you can, and whatever comes up, just kind of breath coming into the heart space, letting yourself relax into that. Bringing your awareness on the breath. And so this is a good thing to practice on your own, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Like maybe when you wake up in the morning, it's an easy time because that's when you're more in alpha states and can go in deeper more easily. Just make sure that when you wake up, if you do in the morning, when you wake up, just take a few moments to just come into that stillness of mind and stillness of being. So don't let thoughts start jumping in, because they will. And try not to move, just maybe sit up and then just kind of sit there and not letting anything come into your mind. And then kind of going into connecting into the heart. Okay. So Elzab, I'm going to come back to your comment about feeling the higher vibrations and then realizing you're not in your body. Okay. Part of that piece has to do with escaping the physical. Might not be a very big piece. I have a tendency to pick up little minor pieces that people think they can blow off. But for me, it's like, yeah, you still have that. It's going to pull you down at some point. So that's part of the trick. And the body, it's about raising the vibration of the body. Well, how do you do that? So your body contains, we were talking about, maybe just before you came in, we were talking about ancestry, and ancestry coming through the DNA. So shifting that stuff, which you can shift at the energetic level, but it will have an impact on your physical form, that will help to raise your vibration. And then as you go higher, because this is really happening to me, uh, the higher you go, the less wiggle room you have. And somebody once explained that it's like, if you imagine a pyramid, and so the ascension is going higher. It's like, well, when you're at the bottom of the pyramid, you can go all the way over here, all the way over there, and you get a lot of leeway. It's like, okay, yeah, you're still fine. But when you get up here, if the pyramid's like this, when you get up here, it's like and I'm noticing that, because as soon as I get a little off, something like I'll feel sick or something like that will come up. It's like, oh, and then I clear out the energetic piece, and then I realign myself, get back to center, and it could be an inch off to the side only that I'm off, and it's like, come back to that center, and that clears it out. So yes, that does apply to everybody. Okay, I wanted to get back to Sydney's. So Elise and Tanya, physical stuff. Okay, if you don't like stuff from your dead ancestors, then why are you still holding on to them? Sentimental, nostalgic, and then if it's weighing you down, do you really need to have that sentimentality? You have the memory of it, and do you need to have the actual physical possession? So it's a lot to go through, even if you have a small pile, because there is that emotional stuff that you have to clear out. Possibly value. Well, start looking up online and seeing. It's like, all right, pass it on to somebody who will really like it. But that's a question you ask yourself: do I need to really hold on to this? And so there's a lot that comes into that. There's guilt, obligation, responsibility, but it's my family line. It's like this part of me. I mean, I like going to antique stores and looking at stuff because it's beautiful stuff. Some of it is really beautiful, well done, and there's certain time periods that are just beautiful that I like, or not. But when it's your family line, there's this thing of like obligation to hold on to that. And so taking a look at that, and that's a way to raise your vibration. Or is it Sydney? Da, 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 da. All right, I have to go back through this because, oh, here we go. What about family secrecy and taking on a false conviction? Jacqueline brought that up for me in her most recent Q&A. Okay, I wasn't on that one, so I don't have that definite, I didn't hear it, so I didn't. Family secrecy, yeah, that can be a big weight, You see all the rich families, and probably a lot of them have a lot of secrecy in there. The skeleton in the closet thing. We don't talk about this. There's so much out there, and it's coming up a lot with like the Epstein files. That's the big thing lately. But in Hollywood, that's been going on for a really long time, decades at least, decades and decades of just these family secrets. And that has to do with the appearance, with the facade that you are holding on to, that the family is holding on to. And you've got the mastermind of the family, so you've got this group think of the family that's sitting here. We're all going to act that way, and there's so much pressure by the whole group for each individual to hold on to something that it's really hard to break away. I mean, some people manage to and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then, sometimes there's a lot of pain for that happens. They are totally disinherited from the money. They go off and do something else. But so there's a lot of, and so, yeah, taking on a false conviction. Well, that's sort of like taking on a false identity, isn't it? You're convinced that this is the way life is. Maybe it was in one moment, or maybe it is in this moment. But if you think of like however many billions of people we have on the planet, eight plus now, it's not necessarily true. It's maybe something that's convenient that helps to form a certain thing. And so the bottom line for even the family secrecy and the false conviction, the bottom line for that and for anything is that, is it helping you move into a higher expression of yourself? Bottom line. If it is, then you go with it. If it's not, then you do what you can to step out of that. Hope that makes sense. I'm trying to. Okay, there was a a false conviction of one of my uncles right around my conception, and another. We don't talk about this with someone else. And so, the question is, see, in that moment when somebody said, "Well, we don't talk about this," I mean, why don't we say, it's like, why not? Because everybody is talking about it inside their heads. It's the talk is there. It's not externalized. Is so we don't talk about that is not true. Everybody talks about it, but they're either talking about it behind, whispering away to each other, whatever. So conviction, false conviction. So that kind of conviction, okay. So ruling, judgment on a legal judgment, in other words, with one of my uncles right around my conception. And so, yeah, I have the sense that kind of came into you because the energy of your parents and so their chemistry were connected up into this conviction. And so that kind of came into you that way. It's amazing how stuff like that will come in and influence us, but it will. And I'm trying to break away. Yeah, there's a question about health issues, weight issues, and vulnerability. Archives of photos. Oh God, photos. Photos are a really tough one because you look at those photos and it's like, yeah, and for me, what's interesting about photos is you look at how life used to be, and so that gives you a sense of where we've been, and not family so much, but where it's in general. I think, okay, all right, let me go back here because I just jumped around a little bit. Okay, blank. I think the blank has to do with feeling disconnected. So feel into that. Yeah, that's a good one. Feel into, because the blank could literally be about anything. Blank is there's nothing coming in. You're just present with yourself. That can be a blank. But so that's why I say when you get those blanks or those voids or those nothing, I feel nothing, sit with it. And it's like, how would you describe to me that void, that nothing? Because I'm over here, I'm not having that experience. So how would you describe it to me so that I understand what your void is, what it's about? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel dark? Does it feel light? How big is it? Does it have a color? Just kind of go through and play with that. So very good. Feeling disconnected. Well, okay, go into that disconnect. So there's a blank that comes up for you, and that makes a lot of sense. I feel like it was earlier in your life. You're not quite that old, but so I was earlier when you were younger, maybe around 6 or 8. Uh, there was a disconnect that happened in a situation, or maybe on a regular basis, and so to not feel that pain of disconnection, you go blank, blank, and then you're probably pulling up in your mind as well. So there's the mental stuff, and then there's that blank, and then there's what you really felt. So there's a disconnect, and then what's below that feeling of disconnected. So really, really good. So you're going deeper and just kind of follow that. Suggestion, please, for not letting anything come into your mind. Good one. That's great. Focus on your breath, and you just keep coming back to that because there's so much, there's so, depending on where you live, like I live in France, and this is a very mental culture. And so energetically, the space, the environment is here. People don't understand this. But people I know in France that I can talk to about this stuff, they do not understand when I say French is a mental culture, and even in terms of the emotional stuff they feel that go through their minds. It's really hard to explain. But anyways, so just it's practice. Now, I think last time I said something about taking, doing that practice, like even just practicing of just coming into your heart space. Do it for 10 minutes every day, because it's about building that strength of mind to not go in all sorts of directions. So it's a skill that you have to practice, and you have to develop, and you have to just be there. It's like, nope, we're not going to go there. Coming back into this, and it's just something you develop, you work on. Sometimes you'll notice that if you have a lot of distortions that you're clearing out, your mind might start to become more active. And then when they're more cleared out, then it's not as active too. So notice that. Thing to ask is like, well, what is my mental runaround telling me? What is this about? What is this mental runaround about? Is it detoxing? Am I detoxing? Is it I'm nervous? I'm stressed. So let's see. And I'm trying to break away with. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me come back to that one. So when it comes up, when you notice that, what you've talked about, the conviction, because when you get conceived with that, it's not easy to work with, because it's even more than pre-verbal, deeper than pre-verbal. When you notice stuff come up, so it's about being aware of it and just asking yourself in the moment. And Carolina joined on the other side. Hello. So we're having a long running discussion about ancestry and a lot of other things. It hurts to sit with it. Yes. So good. Sit with it and let yourself connect into deeper. Okay. Back to Cindy. When you notice that coming up, getting into that place where you catch yourself feeling that. And so it can be hard, because if you're used to feeling a certain emotion, and even if it's a positive emotion, it's like, or feeling strong about yourself, that can be kind of what I'll call a false emotion, because it's about lifting yourself up. But when you catch, so it's about really being aware and just noticing. It's like, oh, I just caught that, and sitting with that, and affirming, okay, this isn't me. This is something that's in my environment or connected with me somehow, but it's not me. And then just ask, what do I need to do to clear that one out? So Alzava, yeah, sit with it. If it hurts, good, because then you are reaching a deeper place. Instead of sitting at the blank, you're going down below the blank to the disconnect to the hurt. What do you know about the Four Corners areas in the USA? I'm doing a sit for a French lady there, noticing the mental stuff. That's interesting, yeah, and she's there for she's there for that deeper connection, because the Four Corners, that's a very deep, almost I could say mystical place. Yeah, keep going, Elsa. But good, you're doing great. Yeah, it's a very mystical place. There's a deep mysticism, mystical quality, magical quality to the land there, and more than just the four corners. And so, connecting with the land, go take advantage of that and really connecting deeply in with the land. Thinking when I focus on breath, it helps. Yes, the night comes back in without my permission. That's okay. It's just going to happen. That happens to every single person in existence, the Dalai Lama included. Nobody's above that mind, and it's a skill. It's a practice to grow into. Um, the mind comes up for a lot of reasons, and just be okay with that. Just be okay that it comes up. It's just like, oh yeah, I see you. Let's go back down. Um, all large community. It's been tugging at me for years. Yeah, yeah. Actually, that feels like a really nice place for you. Um, there's something that it feels like very soothing uh, for you, in nurturing for you there. I need the high, dry heat of the desert. Yeah, good. Yeah, I wish I could do that, but I can't. So, anyways, um, let's see, Caroline, if you have any thoughts, it's just kind of popped in, but so let's take another nice deep breath in, settling back into the heart space. Yeah. Coming into the breath. Wanting to go to the four corners for a while. Yeah, it's an interesting area. Did I go actually four corners? I was close to there. Went into Taos in Chaco Canyon, which is right in that close to that area. Just coming into the breath, noticing the breath, letting yourself drop down. So again, notice being. So let's do this again. Just come into just your head, having your awareness up in your head. So even opening your eyes will do that. You're just thinking something. And seeing if you can, with your eyes open, it takes a little bit more attention on your part to do that. And letting yourself drop down to your throat area, gently, slowly floating down, just for right now, just to see what that experience is like. Notice what happens to your whole body as you shift down from, even just from the head to the throat. Maybe there's kind of like a slowly shifting down. Feel what that's like. Maybe a little sigh like I just did, where there's just like this deeper relaxation that comes in. And then dropping down into the space of the heart. So from the head to the throat to the heart, letting yourself float down gently. It might not come in right away, but as you let yourself go into that, notice, start paying attention to your breath a little bit more, just to help kind of relax more deeply. If you close your eyes, it's fine, but just to know if you keep your eyes open, it kind of, you have to pay attention more. But either way is fine. Yeah. And feel that gentleness floating down, coming into that deeper, relaxed, more centered, more grounded. And feeling that relaxation is kind of this expanding out. Yeah, there we go. So this is just a nice one to practice on your own, even if it's for 5 minutes. It's like this skill to develop. Learn to get better at it, because as you do it, then you can relax more into it. So it's okay if your mind goes all over the place. It's going to do that. It does that for a lot of different reasons. Releasing or detoxing or releasing deeper stuff can cause the mind to go. It's like, oh, okay, releasing. Let's go back in. So just notice that mental stuff coming up and what it's indicating to you, because it's trying to control it is not, tends to not work. And if it's about, if it's getting activated because you're releasing energetic toxins, then if you like try to shut it down, you're actually kind of holding on to those. You're making it harder for your system to let go of the detoxing, the distortions or whatever. The sadness is still there. Okay, so what you want to do is give yourself some time, and I do the journaling, but if you have something else that would work, even just doing if you're more kind of the cell phone kind of person, um, um, you can just do, recording, just express that sadness. What is it about? That'll be a really good one, and let yourself go for as long as it's there. So writing it out, and you don't have to do it all in one sitting. Just come back to it. I tell my mind, thank you for sharing, which helps you. Yeah, there we go. That's one thing to do. It's like, great thought. We'll come back to that later. And so write it. Just the journaling has been a really good way to get that out, get that expressed out, and sit with it. Let yourself be present with that part of yourself that's feeling sad, because pulling away from it is going to it's like a way of smacking it down. Not necessarily that violently, but that harshly. But just say, okay, I'm here with you, speaking like you're speaking to that part of yourself. I hear you. I hear your sadness. I hear you. What is it that you want to say about that? What would you like to share with me about that? And just let that come out. Yeah. Because otherwise it's just going to sit with you, and it's going to come into things like personal relationships or whatever it is that you do with yourself. And you don't want that. I know you don't want that. So really good job, everybody. All right, take a deep breath in, and flash on my QR code. Sometimes I'm good with that, sometimes I'm not. I have to say that for myself to help encourage myself to say it. So next time, won't be until August. So we have a couple weeks off. Um, let's see, 22nd and 29th are offline. So the next time will be August 5th. Moving right along here, August 5th for the live on YouTube and Instagram. Okay, good job, everybody. Nice, good comments, good points. Lean into it helps. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Asta. Yes, I kind of seeing you more on that side, Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I'm finding it very difficult to go on Instagram these days and even post. And I know technically should be doing that for my business, but so I still the lives are still on Instagram, and I'll try to post more often. Thank you. It's been very helpful. Good. And thank you as always. And thank you for all of you for showing up. It's fun just hanging out with you guys and in the space, hanging out in the space and coming into a deeper place for ourselves, deeper understanding and moving through more deeply. And Carolina on holding up the Instagram side there. So very good. All right, everybody. So take care, and we'll see you all in August. And have a good rest of July. Take care, everybody.